Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Friday. So the week is done and over with. We had actually a good day in the markets today, along with Bitcoin and Ethereum. The miners were up for the most part, so we're going to take a look at all that's going on there. And that could be also because obviously the jobs report came in pretty good this time around, and I think the market kind of liked it. So that was a positive there. And like I said, we'll take a look at what's going on with the miners here, along with everything else. But we'll also take a look at a couple of stories that we do have. Core Scientific provided us with the production update for April, basically. And it's a little concerning there. So we'll take a look at that one. And then we'll also take a look at Iris Energy, which there's a lot of good news in here as well for Iris Energy. So we'll get into all of that. And hopefully my voice doesn't give out by the time we're done with the video. But as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. I'm invested in the following coins and companies. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. And yeah, I think that's it. Too many meds today. I'm a little bit out of it. Okay, so let's take a look at the markets here really quick. What's going on in there? Okay, so S&P was up today 1.85% to 4,136. Dow Jones was up 1.65% to 33,674. And the NASDAQ was up 2.13% to 13,259. So it was a great day in the markets here. Bitcoin was also up today quite nicely. It was up approximately 2.35% on the day. It is at, well, it closed at 29,536. It is now at 29,650. And you can see this line, well, the wedge that I drew yesterday, and it seems like it's trying to break above that right now. We're right on that line there. We'll see if it actually breaks above it. If it breaks above it, that's great. I was thinking it's going to take a little bit longer, a couple more days before we possibly bounce up after clearing this wedge, but we'll see where it goes right now. On the daily chart, we can see that the RSI is at 57 right now, which isn't too bad. Last time we were back here on that one, and the price was actually a little bit lower on it, so that's looking good on the daily. 4-hour chart, RSI has peaked up a little bit here to 65 right now. And if we go back to a previous 65 here, and if we can see that, it looks like price is also higher than just these little two peaks here that we've had. And if we go back far enough here, we can actually see that price is right around that same point, close to it. On the 1-hour chart as well, we can see that the RSI came down a little bit here to 62. Last time we were at that range, let's see if I can find something that's looking closer to it, maybe right around here potentially. And at that point, obviously, price was down lower. So we're having a little bit more of a positive sign on the 1-hour, 4-hour, and the daily as far as the RSI is concerned on it. Okay, so let's take a look at Ethereum now. See what Ethereum is doing right now. Ethereum is also going up today. Let's take a look at what it actually did today. It went up quite nicely, 6.27% today to a close of 1,995. It's currently at 1,900, or actually, sorry, it's at 2,006 right now. So that's good there as well. We can see that the RSI is still pretty good at 60. Last time we were at that spot was back here. Price was lower, so that's looking good on the 4-hour, or on the daily, sorry. RSI on the 4 hours up a little high. Looking at the overbought territory right now at 77. We haven't been there for quite a while since back here, and price is still a little bit lower than that, but that could change. And on the 1-hour chart, we can see that we are in the overbought territory as well. So we may have a little bit of a pullback here. But we'll see. We saw that we peaked a little bit, price came down a little bit, and then price went up even higher, even though we're lower in the RSI. So that's showing me a little bit of a bullish momentum happening right now in those guys. Okay, so we'll see how that all plays out going forward into the weekend. We'll see if Bitcoin actually goes over the wedge or not, and we'll cover it then. Okay, so let's take a look at the miners, see how they did today. For the most part, they had a pretty good day. Well, the miners did have a pretty good day. There was only a couple that were down. So ANY was up 2.62% to 42 cents. Argo was up 0.71% to $1.42. BitDigital was up nicely 4.89% to $2.36. Bitfarms was up also nicely today 7.41% to $1.16. Cypher was the one that was down 7.14% to $2.21. CleanSpark was up also 5.26% to $4.20. Cores was up just a little bit here, 0.68% to 37. DigiHost was up 4.85 to $1.73. DMG was up 2.02% to 21 cents. Greenidge was up 3.02 to 45 cents. Hive was up 5.28% to $3.19. Hut was up 7.43% to $1.88. Iris Energy was up 4.48% to $3.73. Marathon was up 2.14% to $10.49. Mawson was down 3.03 to $2.88. And Riot was up 6.46% to $11.54. Soluna was down 2.45% to 19 cents. Stronghold was up 9.74 to 96 cents, and TeraWolf was up 3.37% to $1.84 there. So a really good day on the miners for the most part, which is good to see. And I think for the most part, I think the miners will be in the plus column for the week, and I think Bitcoin will be too. We'll take a look at it over the weekend here on that one. Okay, so let's take a look at the network hash rate really quick, see what's going on there, see if we got any new data, and we are seeing a big jump here again on the 7-day average. 7-day average jumped back up to 356. Our previous high was probably back here at 350. What is that? 355, and now we're at 356. So we actually went over that. So that's our new record for the 7-day average on it at 356. And let's take a look at the 1-day average, see what's going on there. We actually went up a little bit. We came down to 283 million. Wow, had a pretty big drop here below our kind of lower peaks here. So it's kind of interesting that things actually dropped on it. Okay, something might be going on someplace in the world where that's the cause of it. All right, so let's take a look at the stories that we do have. Of course, Scientific announces April 2023 production and operation updates. There's something concerning here with them for the last couple months here. We'll take a look at what that actually is. Okay, their updates are pretty simple here, so we'll just get into it. Core Scientific self-mining operations produced 1,126 Bitcoin in April, so that's also concerning that they're producing less and less Bitcoin. The other thing is their hash rate here we'll take a look at as well. So as of month end, the company operated approximately 142,000 Bitcoin miners, accounting for approximately 73% of its total number of miners and representing a total potential self-mining hash rate of 14.8 exahash. The other 27% is the hosting miners that they have currently for their customers. Okay, so that's kind of what we're dealing with here. Let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them, and then we'll get into Iris Energy. So Core Scientific has about 373 million shares outstanding. We know that they are in bankruptcy proceedings right now. Part of this is maybe why I'm thinking some of this stuff is happening. So let's dive into it a little bit more here. So current hash stock price is at 37 cents roughly. Market cap is about 138 million right now. You can see that they've had pretty good performance for the last week, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and 12 weeks. They're up quite nicely from that in the green, so that's always good. Current hash rate, like I said, is 4.8. Future hash rate, while they were at like 17 point something exahash, they were really close to their future hash rate, but they've been coming down here every month in the last 3 or 4 months or so. So not sure if they're selling miners there or not, but we'll take a look at it, what that could possibly be. And then the HODL position, they don't have anything. They sell everything that they do mine. And you can see here the Bitcoin production peaked in January at 1,527. February was a shorter month, so that's kind of explainable why production was down a little bit here. But in March, they were up to 1410, and then they're down to 1126. All right, so a pretty big, sizable downside here. Last time they were this low was back in June, May, and April of last year, potentially going obviously back even further a little bit. They were lower than that. So that's concerning there. And then let me see here. You can see that the monthly difference in mining, way down here, 284 Bitcoins mined less in April than they did in March. Let's see here. What else do we have here? Bitcoins per exahash. Efficiency-wise, not too bad. 76 is still pretty good for them. And then Bitcoin HODL, don't HODL anything now. They had a huge HODL position that they've been selling. Bitcoin sold, you can see that they're selling everything that they mined here recently. And then we can get to their hash rate and revenue. We can see here that they peaked in January with their hash rate at 17 exahash. Then they came down about 300 petahash in February, another 600 petahash in March, and now another 1.3 exahash in April. So my thought, well, I don't know what's going on. There's a couple scenarios that could be driving this. Number one is that they're selling miners, potentially, getting cash for it, but don't know how much they're going to be getting for used miners. So that could be equating to something, but I think it would be a little short-sighted considering that Bitcoin is going up. Why would you sell at that point when Bitcoin is going up unless you have to really sell it? The other possibility is that they are actually trying to pay off some of their debt to creditors, possibly by giving them miners that they would have, possibly, I don't know if this is just my speculation, that the creditors would have for a certain amount of time until they are made whole, whether it's through mining and selling each month or mining and hodling and then selling at the end of a certain period of time, whatever that would be to make them whole. And then at that point, they would get the miners back. I don't know. I don't have the insights to this, but that's kind of the two things that I'm thinking are happening here. One, they're either selling, or two, they're giving it to their creditors to pay off their debt. Okay, that's the only thing I can come up with here. Now, as far as their revenue is concerned, revenue hasn't come back to the previous highs that we had in April of last year. That was at 42.1 million here. And at that point, they were only at 8.9 exahash. Bitcoin was obviously higher at that point as well. It was closer to 30,000, I believe, right at that point. So that kind of explains why they've actually generated more. Bitcoin network hash rate was also lower, so they were generating more at that point revenue from it, but it has come down here to a low in June of 22 million, came up to 29 in August, and then they were kind of flatlined here around 24 through December. Nice spike in January to 30 million, February was 31, March was 35, and now April they're back down to 32. So that's a little concerning to see that that is coming down as well. Hopefully that kind of picks up. It would help them out if Bitcoin goes up higher to closer to the 30,000, 35,000 mark. That would definitely help them with the amount of revenue that they're getting for it. Okay, hash rate difference, we talked about that. Bitcoin sold value also, they've been selling about, well, on the average around 28 to 30 million in the last 5 or 6 months or so on average to pay off, to pay their debt, to pay operations and things like that. Other things we can take a look at here, other metrics, these are all from Q4, the latest ones that we have here. We have seen that the Bitcoin mine quarterly has been increasing here. Debt to equity obviously is a problem here along with current ratio. Those are both issues, and that's why they're in bankruptcy right now. And we can also see here that institutions. So institutions has decreased quite a bit. However, shares have increased to 46.29 million from 46.15 million. So that's actually positive there. And percentage is up to 12.39 from 12.32. The other thing is we also had a couple analysts drop out. It looks like we had 4 analysts back in April. Now we only have 1 analyst saying to hold onto the shares, but they did increase the price targets for them. So a high is now $1. The average is 75 and the low is 50 cents. So that's at least good there. And I kind of have them a little bit higher than that, even at a P of 10. But because they are in bankruptcy, I can see why analysts are a little worried to give them any more than that. So if we go to only a $1, you're looking at a P of 2 right now. I think once they get out of bankruptcy, if they get out of bankruptcy, they could definitely get at least a 10, if not higher. So we're looking at a stock price of $4.84 to $7.26, depending on where they come in at. I mean, right now we're looking at approximately 362 million in revenue for the last 4 quarters. A couple of those quarters are estimates. The other ones are actual numbers here. So we do have 3 quarters that are estimated right now because we just don't have the numbers for them. Actually, we do have the numbers for December. I'll have to update this. And then September was also that. Let's take a look at what the December numbers were really quick while we're at it. While I'm thinking about it, I just noticed it. So let's see, revenues, self-digital mine, asset mining was 74, right? Self-mining, yep. 74,459,000, 74,459,000, so we'll update that. 74,459,000, 74,459,000. Boom, there we go. What is that difference there? How close was I to it? I was off by 1.12%. Pretty good, I'll take it. That's not a big deal. So let's get that updated to the newest numbers that we do have for them for the last 3 quarters, and that way we'll have everything set here for everybody. Actually, I was using the previous 4 quarters or 3 quarters. So now we'll use these over here since we have the latest data on them. And then we'll also update the current quarter potentially to being ending in June. So as you can see here, goes back down here. So you can see also that in June, possibly, if they mine with what they currently have at the 14 point, whatever it was, 8 exahash, that they would possibly, if Bitcoin stays where it's at, network hash stays where it's at, they would actually mine less than they have mined in the last 3 months from January through March, okay? So that's why I'm saying it's a little concerning there. We'd like to see them actually making more on it. But we do have what we do have, okay? So nonetheless, we're still looking at $4.69 to $7.04 potentially. They're currently at 37 cents roughly, right around that range as it is, all right? So with Core Scientific, the big thing is high risk, high reward. Don't invest more than you're willing to lose in them because we just don't know what's going to happen to shareholders at the end of the bankruptcy proceedings and everything else. How much are they actually going to get for their troubles of sticking around? Okay, so as always, that's a caveat there. Always do your own research. And let's get into the next one here. So the next one is going to be on Iris Energy. They have a lot of good news here to talk about. So this is their update for April 2023. And you can see their sites, key highlights. So mined 319 Bitcoin. That's great. It's a nice increase from March. Electricity cost per Bitcoin is 13,000, which is kind of in line with some of the other miners that we're seeing as well. So that's not too bad there. Increase operating hash rate by 118%. This is great, to 5.5 exahash as of May 3rd. They have outperformed my estimates as far as how fast you're going to be able to get here. And after what happened in the fall into winter, where they had to give back a lot of the miners, I thought they were going to be done for, but they have surprised me. Back then, I was thinking about investing, but when they had to give back a lot of the miners, I kind of put it on pause until I see how they are actually performing. They're performing fantastically right now. So with that being said and done, this is another one of those miners that is on my lookout table, you could say, that I'm looking to possibly get into a little bit here, if I have the funds to do it right now. I got property taxes I got to pay this month, so I won't have a lot of cash to invest in these guys or some of the other ones that I'm invested in, like Bitfarms or CleanSpark. But we'll see what happens down the road. Potentially might be able to buy in a little bit on these guys as well. Okay, and they also got back 18.4 million AEP refund received, so that's good there. New R&D initiatives underway, so that's also good. And then further ordinary shares acquired by director Mr. Michael Alfred, so that's also good to see that the people inside are buying. And then Childress update here, so 600 megawatt bulk power substation and 100 megawatt primary substation energized. So this is good. The 20 megawatt data center operational with final commissioning activities, and then they have 580 megawatts of spare power capacity for expansion planning underway. So this is interesting here. How much can they actually grow based on this? So let's take a look at some math here that we can do on it. If we look at the 580 megawatts right now, what that could actually entail, I'm using 80% of load, so they could possibly use 464 kilowatts, 1,000 of that. I don't know if the miners are actually getting 100% of the load that they can get. Usually I think it's like around 80%. You want to have a little bit of spare on it. But at that point, we're looking at, let me see here, we're looking at the 140 terahash miners right now, which are the Antminer S19 XPs. How many could they actually have of those miners? And let me see here, they could possibly get approximately 152,000 of those 140 terahash miners. That would get them to 21.4 exahash with just the 580 megawatts here alone. Not to mention the 5.5 that they already have. So they would get them closer to 26.9 exahash. That would definitely make them one of the biggest miners here that we were talking about here, bigger than Mara, CleanSpark, Core Scientific combined. Well, not combined, but those in general in that group. That would definitely put them in the top 4 or 5 miners in the bunch here that I covered. Okay, now as far as what would that cost, right now I think CleanSpark, I believe, purchased those miners at $23 per terahash, I believe. I don't know if that price is still going to be good at that with Bitcoin price going up. It might be a little bit higher, but I'm just using $23 per terahash. That would cost about $500 million to get to the 21.4 exahash right there. Okay, they did get $18 million from the deposit back. How much could they grow from that? They could grow another 782 petahash roughly on that, almost 1 exahash of growth there with about 5,590 miners at that price. Now, given if price goes up before they make any purchases on it, well, then you're looking at possibly, let's say it goes back up to $25. Well, now you're looking at 535 million. If it goes to $30 when they purchase, now you're looking at 642 million potentially before they can do that. Now, there's also added costs that you have to build out the infrastructure, everything else to it. So you're looking at possibly closer to $800 million potentially. I don't know how much all that infrastructure costs. I'm guessing between 150 million and 200 million, somewhere around there. Okay, so that's kind of the thought process between that and what they could possibly grow to. They do have the optionality to grow to that size if they wanted to, but it's obviously going to cost them quite a bit to do so. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to grow into this year and then potentially even into next year and even after the halving event. But at that point, you kind of want to be careful with the prices of the miners, especially per terahash miners and things like that. Okay, let's get back into it here, and then we'll get back into what we got. So like I said, this is really good news for them. Let me see here. New R&D initiatives. So as part of Iris's exploration and investment in R&D initiatives to facilitate growth beyond its first 5.5 exahash, the company acquired 200 of the latest generation Bitmain S19 XP miners for testing across its site. So they bought 200 of those. They're going to be testing them to see how well they perform. If they're to their liking, then we might see them pull a little bit more on that string as far as how much they're going to be growing here in the near future. Okay, we talked about the share acquisition by directors, and I think that was it, unless there's something else here. Future development sites. So development work continued across additional sites in Canada, the USA, and Asia Pacific, which have the potential to support up to additional 1 gigawatt of aggregate power capacity capable of powering growth beyond the company's 760 megawatts of announced power capacity right now. So that would definitely be another increase there. They could possibly get to as much as 35 exahash, I think, based on that information there. If we put in 1 gigawatt, let's go back to our spreadsheet here really quick. Put in 1 gigawatt here. What would that entail? They could definitely get to about, 36.9, give or take a little bit here, exahash. Okay, so huge growth potential with them. We'll see how they can deliver going forward. They did a nice job after the problems that they had in the fall and spring where they had to turn, or not fall and spring, fall and winter, where they had to turn in the miners, but they've grown nicely ever since then to get back up to a new high for them, okay? So let's take a look at Iris here that we do have on them. There they are, okay. So Iris has about 54.9 million shares. Not a lot of shares out, right? They can dilute if they want to, and they would be able to do that quite easily. The stock price is pretty good right now, especially if price goes up higher, they could possibly do that. But right now, market cap is 196 million. Current hash rate, they're pretty much fully installed. I'm just fully installed right now at 5.5. And we've seen also pretty good growth for them as well on the 1 week, 4 week, 8 week, and 12 week time frames. Here it's all green, which is good. Now, as far as BTC production is concerned, it has improved here to 319 in April from 173 in March. Their peak was in October of last year of 448. They don't hodl anything. They sell pretty much everything that they have. They're fully installed right now, and we'll see what kind of growth they provide us going forward. And a month over month, BTC production, you can see here that they had a big drop here from October to November. It was down 297 Bitcoins. And then they had a nice increase here of 146 from March to April, which is good there. BTC hodl, don't hodl. Bitcoin efficiency-wise, they installed a lot of miners this month or in April. That's going to have an impact on the efficiency, so I would expect them to go back up. They've been always pretty efficient. In the top 5, I believe, as far as miners are concerned when it comes to efficiency. I would expect them to come back up after the miners have a full month of running on it. Okay, Bitcoin sold, how much they sold each month there. You guys can take a look at that. Hash rate and revenue. So here's what I was talking about back in the fall, early winter time, right? They got up to about 3.9 exahash. Then they had to basically give back 2.45 exahash. That definitely dropped them down to 1.4. And then they grew steadily here through the last 5 months or so. And then obviously this month had a huge increase in hash rate growth there. So fantastic job by them on this one. And you can also see Bitcoin revenue here. They were at the beginning of last year in April was 5.15 million. They're up to 9.2 million right now. Nice, almost a double on that one. That's always what we want to see here with the miners, is growing from their previous highs potentially. They got up to 8.8 and they actually blew that, well, blew past it in April now. So 6 months later, they actually outperformed on this one. So that's great to see as well. Even Bitcoin price has gone up, that helped, but the network difficulty has also gone up as well. So that kind of put a hamper on things. Okay, Bitcoin sold value, you can see that they've been selling consistently here as well, 9.2 million now. They sell everything that they mine. And then last 4 quarters revenue, we can see that it was coming down here. Current quarter, this is obviously not going to be the current quarter that we're in. This is for Q1 of 2023 numbers. This is just to compare it from Q2. It's going to be their Q3, our Q1 here. They're on a different schedule for their yearly revenues. And then we can see operating costs have been coming down as well, which is good here instead of going up in Q2, which was Q4 of 2022. Okay, other metrics here we can see here, cost to mine Bitcoin was about 10,000 here at the end of the year. They're up to 13,000, which is kind of what we're seeing with the other miners as well. So that's in line with what we expect. Bitcoin mines quarterly has gone up and come back down. I would expect that to go back up here in the next quarter that gets reported. Debt to equity, lower is better. It's still not too bad, 0.52. We'd like to see that come down a little bit here. And the current ratio has come down as well. So we'd like to see that get a little bit better here as well. They don't have at least 1x of current assets to pay current liabilities. As you can see here, at the end of the year, they had 74.6 million in current assets, but they had 140 million in current liabilities. Right, that's always a little concerning there for that. But Bitcoin going up in value and everything else, it should be helping them to pay down some of that debt as well. That's why I really want to see some of the Q1 numbers from all of these miners as well to see how they are performing. Okay, as far as institutions did increase here a little bit to 35 from 34. Shares actually went down a little bit to 11.72 million from 11.78, and that's a percentage of 21.32 from 21.42. So they went down a little bit here, but the good news is we still have the same analyst ratings. So 2 strong buys, 3 buys, 2 holds, 0 underperformed, 0 sells, and then the price target actually went up to $11 from $8 for the high. The average went up to $7.33 from $6.42. The low went up to $4 from $4. So that stayed the same here otherwise. But here's what we got as far as installed miners and how long they were operating for April. So in April, it looks like they were operating pretty much for the full month of 30 days. And then the last batch of miners that got installed, the 2.8 exahash roughly, it was only about for 16 days. That's how I was able to calculate how much they actually made, the 9.2 million, which is what we're seeing here based on the Bitcoin average price for the month of April, right? So we're right in line with that. Okay, now, like I said, they're fully installed right now. We'd like to see if they can grow any more this year, which would be nice to see. And if they can grow, I think they could possibly fetch a better PE ratio. But right now, they're at 357. They're catching a PE ratio based on my numbers here of approximately 5p right now. But I think they can easily get to 15. When Bitcoin starts going back up a little bit here, past maybe 30,000, I think they can possibly get to $10.22 to $15.34. I do think they're undervalued, but I can see why they are where they are right now based on the current debt that they do have. So there might be a little fear or trepidation in the investors to get there, but they've done a fantastic job there. I could easily see them getting there, if not getting to 20. And at 20, we'd be looking at 1363 to 2045. And I think we're using the last, let's take a look at these numbers here. If we're using the, we're using Q1, Q4, and Q3 numbers, and then the current quarter number as well for our estimates on that one. Okay, so that's it for that one. That one was pretty easy. And let me see here, where is it? Is it this one? Nope, not that one. This one. That's what I want. So nice job by Iris Energy. They've definitely proven me wrong. I thought it was going to take them a lot longer to get back to at least where they were back in the fall. But they've actually beat it right now, so they've done a fantastic job on that. And it's, like I said, it's one of those ones that I'm thinking about putting a little in on them because, one, depending how they grow going forward, but they do have a lot of potential. They have a lot of watts that they can use if they needed to. Okay, so that's it. Let me know what you guys thought of all of this. As always, the spreadsheet's available to my Patreon members. Thank you to everyone there for their continued support. Thank you so much for everyone here watching. Thank you to the YouTube members as well. You guys will get the printouts of these as well, the pictures of them, of the dashboards here. Those will probably be out tomorrow. Other than that, I think that's it. We'll see what the miners did against Bitcoin this week in either Saturday's or Sunday's video, and then we'll see what else we can kind of come up with as far as metrics to take a look at to compare these guys. We still have a couple miners that are out there that haven't reported, and those are, let me see here, let's go back here. And those are, we're waiting on DMG to report, Hut 8, Mawson, and Sphere. Sphere is always like one of the last ones. Mawson's always kind of like towards the middle of the month. So we'll give them another week to report. If they don't report by the second week of the month, we'll go ahead and do the evaluation of the miners, comparing them to each other, and then basically grading them and who came in first for the month of April, who came in second, who came in third, based on all of these metrics that we do have here. All right, so thanks again for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.